I know this is a very important conversation about mango trees, and if you are watching this session, you are in luck because this is the Talkaoke Skills Lab session number whatever, and we are now talking about mango trees. So please carry on. But this session is being recorded from now on. Yeah, just what.
Hello, Lucy.
Hi, Lucy.
Hi, great. I thought I couldn't hear anyone, but was everyone just silent?
We were just contemplating the mango tree behind Totem. Have you ever seen a mango tree?
Now I have.
I would like, can you get your phone in closer, Totem, so we can see what the mango tree looks like?
Okay, let me show you. Like, so this is the mango tree. This, I see.
And that's a jackfruit tree, right? Right
Yeah,
next
then
there.
this one is a jackfruit tree. Yeah, behind me. But this is a mango tree right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
So, Toma, can you please repeat what is the second tree? Mango tree, and the second one is?
That's a mango
the second
tree.
one, then there's a jackfruit tree. This is the jackfruit tree. This, it's jackfruit.
Fruit, jackfruit, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah.
There's also banana. I see banana right there.
Yeah, there's also banana plantation like here behind. Yeah, there's, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lovely. Recently, I tried a burger made from jackfruit last week. Have you ever tried that?
A burger made from jackfruits. Oh, that's nice. Must be interesting.
You can hear me now, I take it.
That was not bad. Absolutely nice.
If you say you don't have mango trees, so where'd you get your mangoes from?
It's really nice to tune in again, guys, and just see that you've really not moved on at all. So welcome to Skills Lab Mango Tree Edition. So what's the latest? Thank you, Lucy, for letting us know you need to leave earlier. But yeah, what have we missed?
I can't hear you, Margot.
You're still a bit quiet, actually. So ask Laura to turn up the knob on the left-hand side of the sound cards.
Laura is doing that. How is my sound now?
Better. Turn up a bit more.
It's better. It's okay for Margarita. Everyone else seems to be a bit
no, that's good. That's good now. That's good.
Underwhelmed still. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And even now, yeah? I'll try to project.
I just wanted to say, we get our mangoes, they come in a cardboard box in the supermarket. I've never seen where they come from before that. They just come from a cardboard box in the supermarket.
Oh, it reminds me of a movie I've been watching actually today. It's called Okja. Has anyone watched that movie?
Which movie is that?
Okja.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you guys need to watch it. It's one of the best movies. Talks about, I mean, the privileges that you have, especially when you come from a country like Uganda, is that everything you get is actually fresh, right from the garden, right from the garden. So I just want to, maybe everyone should check it out after here. Just watch it. I mean, it's an interesting movie.
So maybe we should do a Talkaoke Skills Lab, I was going to say watch list. I'm not sure if that kind of sounds
Okja. I'll just put it here in the chat.
Put it in the chat, please.
Like a playlist, like a film list. We could do a film night. That would be quite interesting, actually. I think. Hello, Henry, by the way. Okja film. Thank you.
Hey.
The title is Okja.
Yeah.
The film is just the added one. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Abwiri, for this recommendation. Anyone else wants to recommend anything? Doesn't have to be a film. Doesn't have to be a fruit. Could be absolutely anything. Kate, have you got any recommendation from this week?
I had some very good peanut butter this morning. There's a shop near me where you can put the peanuts in a big container and then turn a handle and the peanut butter comes out. So I would really recommend that if you get a chance.
That's pretty good. Something that you wouldn't expect to happen in the shop. I wouldn't expect.
No, and you do it yourself. And it's just peanuts, nothing else.
And that turns it into peanut butter.
Yeah.
Right? Anyone ever turned anything into peanut butter? Could be peanuts, could be something else, of course. Mikey, over to you. I'm just doing really light touch facilitation here, but
I used to have a peanut butter making machine, which was in the shape of a peanut character that was like a man, a man that was also a peanut, that was also a peanut butter maker. And you put the peanuts into his hat. You put the peanuts into his hat, and the peanut butter came out of his mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that?
So,
yeah, go on, Totem.
so basically, like for us from Uganda, like our peanut butter is made from ground nuts, G-nuts. So like, yeah, when like you harvest the groundnuts from the garden, so you put it under the sun to dry, then you peel it to get the groundnut seeds, then you pound or you take to the grinding machine to get peanut. So the peanut butter from Uganda, it's called OD. Yeah.
Does it taste
The one
different to
from-
like a peanut butter?
I think this one is more natural, like more, it has no additives or whatever, like it's just like pure butter, peanut butter, yeah.
So I mean, is this what's happening? I think, in terms of food, do we just get like a bad deal here on? I was going to say on the continent, but we're not really on the continent. On this island that we are on, big variety, but maybe not.
For some reason, I can't hear you, Margot.
You can't hear me still. What about now?
Yes, I think you
Okay.
just need to be close to the mic.
I'll just do this. So I was just saying, so is the UK getting a terrible deal by just having big variety of things, but not all of them fresh? I'm just making all these different noises, and sometimes you won't hear me. So that's it. I've nothing else to contribute. But I mean, I was just also, okay, Lucy, go ahead.
Always something to contribute. Give me a topic, I'll have something to say. But if you don't want to stay on this for too long, feel free to completely move on. I'll just. Do you want to?
No, I want to hear your contribution. Oh God, I want to hear your contribution. Flip. Okay, here we go. Laura, do you have some sticky tape that I can put around this? But yeah, anyway, give us your contribution, Lucy, on whichever subject.
I was just going to say that I guess that's like, I think the same. You go to different countries, even I went to Italy and they grow their tomatoes there and like you just eat them and you're like, oh my God, we're eating water. All our food is like, it's just mass produced. And I don't know, is it the people making decisions about our food? What are they? I don't know if they're really valuing what I actually, I don't know if I had a point. I think I prematurely raised my hand, but I think it's something that I think about, in that we try and produce loads and loads and loads of food and we end up getting what we think is loads of food, but actually it hasn't been grown very well. It's been grown very quickly. It's not, and like we waste a lot of it as well in pursuit of getting a lot of food, which I think's food waste really upsets me. But then I heard a podcast about that food waste in terms is like actual edible food waste is 5% of the food waste that happens across the world. And actually most of the food waste goes towards biofuels, where they just burn it for energy, and agriculture. It was a sustainability podcast. So then it made me realize that, my hate for food waste and seeing all these shops in the UK, like people just throw away sandwiches that people haven't eaten. And I think like it just happens all the time. And it's so aggravating that so many people could eat that food. But actually that's only 5% of global food waste. The rest of it is on all this other stuff. Anyway.
That's a very fair point, Lucy. I mean, I think food is just a subject that's like very easy to come up with, particularly when you're talking about different cultures. But somehow we managed to not have any food involved in Talkaoke Skills Lab final event. I'm just segueing it to the fact that it is Skills Lab and we are putting on some kind of event, and that Timna is here as well. So give her a round of applause. Actually, give all yourselves a round of applause. We don't have the sound effects pad, so we're relying on thank you.
Hey.
Welcome, Timna. Can we see you on the big screen? No, you need to get more into the frame. And you can use your phone as well. So anyway, so I'll just give you an update of where we are now. We were just talking about mango trees. We were talking about fresh versus non-fresh food in Uganda and in the UK. We got some stats from Lucy about food waste. I was making a point, which is that we never actually really discussed food in a way of the final event, but maybe we don't have to, of course. Kate is joining us on her laptop now as well. Mike, I know you've got your hand up, and the recording is in progress. One second, people. Okay, anyway, and that's it. That's where we are at now. Mikey.
No, I mean, I think it's a good point talking about catering for the event. I'm wondering if in London we could have, like, just try and get hold of the freshest mangoes possible and serve those, and then we could ship some baked beans to Kampala and serve those on the Kampala side.
Sorry, you said yes, we're all fine here with the sound now. Okay, so how do people feel about this? Maybe shipping some food across to the UK?
And some very unfresh foods. Send them the kind of food that we eat, some baked beans and
Just
maybe
porridge.
some porridge.
Porridge oats?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, what do people think about this? Okay, we were talking about Skills Lab, the exchange of ideas and exchange of skills, but how about exchanging produce, the finest we have? Has anybody got, Lucy, I can see your hand, but I wondered, do people have any kind of ideas of what kind of food they would like to send across or receive? Anyone can speak, or I'll just come to you, Lucy.
Yeah, not that I don't think we should exchange food, but I guess on the note of, if my brain's now in like food waste mode, like I don't know what is possible from the Uganda side, but from the UK side, I think it would be good to maybe, I would be keen to try and facilitate maybe use of surplus food to provide at the event, because I think I've worked at lots of events where you'd have to pay a ton of money to get stuff in, and there's lots of waste, and maybe trying to start an ethical element of food providing as part of it. I don't know.
Okay, ethical food. I mean, would you eat ethical food? Is it guaranteed that it's going to be tasty? I mean, Margarita, you suggested oats. Is that a typical kind of networking snack when you kind of go in a network between your kind of artists down in Kampala? I mean, what do you tend to snack on? Do you have any snacks when artists meet? What do they like to eat and drink? And welcome, Isaac. Henry, when you go to networking events, what do you like eating? Is eating helping networking and exchange, or the opposite?
Thank you, Margot. Very interesting question. I think I had never been observant of this, but I also know that for some interesting reason, meals do really bring people together, especially in Africa. I think even across the globe, if you look at the smallest unit of society, which is family, we know that there are lots of conversations that happen around mealtime, dinner at the table and stuff like that. So I think it's an element that helps to break the ice and also maybe even build trust. I mean, if I can share a meal with you, then most probably I trust you and I want to engage with you. But looking at the few events, artistic events I've attended, I think for snacks, Ugandans love samosas. Ugandans love chapati, obviously. And I don't think Ugandans are big on pastries and sweet things. That's my personal view, but I think samosas and chapatis are always
Okay,
like a
so Mo
staple.
says,
At least I always say that.
right, so small finger food, yet nutritious, not too much sweet. I mean, what does the UK side think? I mean, is savoury kind of parcel size, small kind of dish is that kind of what you like networking with in your mouth? Is it easy to speak and network with that, Kate?
I was thinking about Bombay mix. I don't know if you have that in Uganda. It's like you get it in a packet. Well, you probably don't have to, but it's like little crispy, spiced things, and there's some chickpeas and nuts in there as well. It's really tasty, but it's spiced, and like crunchy. So I think it is quite good for networking because like you're not gonna get it all. It's not a sauce. Like you're not gonna get it all over you, but you just sort of crunch it as you're eating.
So crunching for that extra kind of I feel like there is a pun there, but I'm just not quite sure what it is.
Bite to the conversation.
Absolutely, that's the one. Yes, and there will be time to cue the sound effects moment, but obviously we don't have it here. Right. So I mean, are your conversations are they lacking a what did you say a crunch? Do we want to add that extra crunch on 10th of July when we do the final event? Totem, I've muted you, so apologies, but please unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, thank you so much. So basically, like the food culture in Uganda, let's say if you go to networking events, like artistic networking events, let's say, for example, a movie night or a movie premiere, when you go to the theater. So I feel like food or eatables, actually, it's one of the elements that really brings conversation intact. Let's say when you go for a movie night in a theater, maybe you're given popcorns or you're given, let's say, ice cream or whatever. So I think food for me or eating, when you're networking, there's a way they bond together. And then in the culture of Acholi, like food is an element that brings a family together or a community together. So back in the days, like all the Acholis, like they eat together, they bring food, and then the whole family sits and eat on the same table. So I think for me, food is an element that connects like people and then the communities like together. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So it is just seems to be a pretty solid fact. The food does bring people together. And yeah, people just end up having conversations. So maybe that's something that, I mean, this is one of the avenues that we could explore for our event. But just to kind of rewind from the last session, we kind of talked about all the different ideas for what may happen on the 10th, and just kind of thinking about food. That's kind of how we started today, but also kind of broadly speaking, have people had any kind of thoughts about it? Anything that kind of came to your mind, or anything that kind of occurred to you, or maybe you've made some connections, maybe you had some conversations between the last session and now. I mean, yeah, just let us know kind of what have you been thinking, what is kind of like coming through, if anything. Okay, so it literally is nothing. That's cool. Okay, Tim, now over to you.
Yeah, I will take Kate once. I'll come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Kate, Lucy, and I we had a chat together, and I think from our approaches we had this common sense which came more from Kate, and the how we share words in different ways from Lucy, and my interest also in like the exchange of let's say cultural differences or cultural exchange. And there was actually a great idea which came from Kate. Do you want to explain it yourself?
I'm really intrigued now. You had an introduction, Kate.
I mean, I was thinking about like bringing together all the stuff that people were talking about last week, like all the different things that people have been saying could be included in the event, like a bit of a showcase of some actual, like some art or some people's practice, possibly in pairs or in a little collaborations. But then also it felt like everyone was saying it's very important to also have moments of sort of conversation and coming together. So we were just talking about like combining all of those things at the event. So maybe like a small room where people are having more one-on-one conversations, maybe via Zoom, one in the UK, one in Uganda, and then like a big space where maybe there are regular sharings of some collaborative thing that's been made, and just sort of combining them. And Lucy also was saying it's very important that there's like an interactive element as well. So if a piece of art or something is shown, then the audience will also have an opportunity to sort of do it as well. So summary?
Yeah. I'm just making frantic notes as well with one hand whilst the other hand is holding the mic, so do bear with me. But okay, so this is okay, so we're thinking, right, so maybe there's a moment for a bit of a showcase of what people have been working on in pairs. Personally, I like the idea of pairs. But what do you guys think? And also, what about the moments of conversation? How can we maybe link it between two countries? Is it in a big space? Is it in kind of individual, on individual basis? And who is talking to whom? How does that get done? That and many more questions will be shortly answered by Mikey and then by Lucy, so do not fear. And Felix is joining us as well. I'll introduce him later. Mikey, take it away.
Well, I appreciate the correct grammar. Who is talking to whom? Use of the dative. But I think I really like this idea of just an open space where you can actually just have, like all these breakout rooms where you can just meet and mingle with people as well as the main program. And, Zoom offers that. So you can just have these breakout rooms that people can go into and just talk one-on-one. And I think, just as much as showcasing skills and the outcomes of what we were talking about so far are useful, it's also nice just to have that, just for example, the mango tree exchange is something which I think is quite magical, and I'm missing seeing being under a mango tree.
I mean, I'm just going to pick out a mango tree exchange, and I'm just going to sit there with this image for a little moment because it amuses me. Okay, so connecting people on Zoom, and then maybe there's a selection of subjects. How do we determine the subject? Is it a wheel of fortune? Is it some kind of leaf of the tree with different subjects? How do we curate that? But anyway, Lucy, thanks, Mikey.
Yeah, just to follow on from Kate. So we were discussing that, and then I think I was like, oh, do we have an aim? Like what? Because often I was reflecting on how I normally like my practice, and I'll often start with an aim, and then that gives a bit of structure. But I was like, is that the right way to be working? And maybe that's quite a prescriptive way to work. But one thing that came out was that we want to share with people the experience that we've had, and give people that experience of like being able to connect with people in a different country and share cultures and all of these conversations, and how can we create like a microcosm of that in the event. Kate had already come up with a really good idea. I'm just going to share it, but it is Kate's idea, of having a laptop open the whole time, and then a laptop open in Uganda, so people can come sit down with a person and talk to them, and then maybe if you like book in like for a set time, like how can you make sure that the best comes out of that, and you could to have time slots where people will talk to people. And then we kind of moved on to like maybe if we paired people for the event with a person, and what is it that has developed the relationships, and how can you get to sharing kind of information quite quickly, and but that intimacy, and maybe it's seeing the same person across the event, and could you like have a chat with this person to start with, and then you experience something on either side. And there was kind of a discussion on like maybe if it's exactly the same in both places, even like the same room arrangement, so that it feels the same, and then you like talk again afterwards about like what you've just heard or listened to or experienced, and you do it that like maybe an interactive version yourself with each other or not, kind of. So that kind of conversation is what we were having. Yeah.
Thanks, Lucy. Okay, so this is like really quite quite a lot of thought that you guys have put into it, which is brilliant. I just want to pick out, obviously you said loads of different things there, but I just wanted to pick out something that you said, like maybe sharing a part of the experience that you have as participants with the wider world. And I almost wondered, you know, I kind of want to go around the room about it, but not overthink it. Just like first thing that comes to your mind, what kind of thing, just one thing, would you like to share with a complete stranger that happens to come to our event? They may be an artist, they may be, I don't know, not an artist, whatever. But what is it? I mean, what is there anything that you think like you would like people to get a flavor of when they come to the event? And I would like to maybe, Isaac, you've not said anything. Welcome, Felix. This is just how these sessions run. Felix is one of our technical people on the Ugandan side. So he's here to just kind of see what the hell we're talking about. So if something doesn't make sense to Felix, then we've got to work better. Timna, I know you've got your hand up, but I mean, does anybody just want to kind of say what, are there any kind of particular things or a thing that you want to convey to the people coming to the event? Isaac, have you got any thoughts? Henry, Totem, but also Kate. I'm not asking you because I feel like we've got you've kind of started it all off with all of this, with your ideas. And if not, we'll just come to you, Timna. Oh, great. Felix has left, so we've done really badly trying to explain their vision to him. Oh, no, he's back. Off you. Right, Timna, over to you.
So from the conversation we had, I think it was Lucy who just mentioned also, because she thought about how could we actually like connect people, and then we came back to one of the conversations we had. I think I think in April or whenever, at Talkaoke Skills Lab with all of us about this. What is your favorite pet? And we thought about like what it made us feel, and Lucy said like actually it's the kind of vulnerability which also connects us to get deep into kind of a conversation. And then I thought about what it made me think or feel when I had my interview. I think it was the second task with one of the podcasters from the LGBTIQ community in Uganda. And I actually had the idea. I didn't explore it to the end, but to kind of create a performance, a choreography, or let's say physical performance to her words, because her words just like influenced me and gave me a specific feeling. So, and coming back kind of like the mix of from our talk with Kate and Lucy, I thought like actually it would be nice to let us influence, or for those who want, like in many different ways, either music or whatever, from the conversations people would have on the laptops. It could be also like only the chat box. And yeah, I'm speaking about the chat box because Kate had an idea which questions like the people would decide by their own which questions they would like like to ask the other person. And yeah, I think I lost my thought. Sorry.
No, but I think what you were saying is it's really clear. So what I'm picking up is about the kind of maybe you've mentioned the sense of vulnerability when you kind of share something, when you kind of putting yourself out there as an artist, but also somebody who doesn't maybe know the other person so well. But also you mentioned about the kind of feeling of doing the first interview and the kind of inspiration that comes from the words. So maybe it's about kind of making it a bit more interactive on the day by offering up to people to ask questions, or maybe reacting to some of their conversations or questions and creating performance as part of it. Marguerite, I'm going to come to you, but I'm just going to put it out there to everyone. And by the way, people, this is like probably this is one of the final sessions. It's not the final session, obviously, but it's one of the final sessions of Talkaoke Skills Lab. Soon it's going to be all over. So if there are things that you are thinking about or want to contribute, or just kind of like, you know, you want to realize as part of this project, now is the time. So do throw in your thoughts. Margarita, over to you. And welcome, Israel.
Yeah, and just wanted to add what brought us together to the conversation, what brought us into the conversation about food. and which brings people together, like consuming food brings people together. And what brought us to this conversation? We saw each of us very real objects around and behind totem, and that's what made us started discussion. So probably the thing is to have some object to trigger different themes or different topics at the event. If we have something like a proxy to start that, to make someone surprised or make just curious or somehow mention that.
I really love what you're saying with the, I mean, I'm not sure if these are residual hands, Timna and Lucy. Mikey, I think this is your new hand. But you're mentioning about this kind of visual side of it as a prompt to start conversations. And it's not something that's been scripted, it's just, we just connect from different environments, which means a mango tree behind totem, and behind me, I don't know what is the current, actually it is a mango tree as well, but obviously it's an artificial one. So, can the visual side play into it? Can we create or put ourselves in kind of visually provoking spaces? Mikey, over to you. And then I'll come to you, Kate, because I think, oh no, you didn't. Okay.
I just want to return again to the motif of the fire, because we were talking about this, and these breakout spaces could effectively be described as a kind of fireside chat. So we could kind of create some fire visuals around where those laptops are, where people can speak to people across the continents, and we could light it in a way that it looks very fiery with an orange light. And that could be a way to sort of indicate that kind of sense of this is a place for conversation.
Okay, so taking this kind of inspiration. This is one of the things about Talkaoke Skills Lab. As I'm finding out from one session to another, we often throw out a lot of ideas, and then by the next session, a lot of them just move on. But I really enjoy kind of like going back to some of the themes, like the fire, for instance. And Israel and Felix are here kind of representing the technical side. So they are kind of listening, and maybe they're getting some ideas as to how to create that, that vibe on the day in the space. Totem, you had your hand up. Do you still want to say something?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. So basically, I believe the final event or the space that we can use can give us an opportunity to explore a lot of things. Because okay, let's say we can do sort of a food market. Because now, let's say from the Ugandan side, we have different participants from different tribes as well. So maybe we can do sort of a food market, sort of a food exhibition market, whereby I can bring some food stuff from the Acholi sub-region or from the northern, then we have it on display, or some people can eat as well. So I believe there's a possibility with the space that we have. On the final day of the event, I believe we can explore a lot of things, So basically also, let's say, most of the participants, we have photographers as well. I believe also we can do sort of exhibitions, photograph exhibitions. So it can be either just like photos of us, the participants, or photos of our regions or specific areas from our region, the way we started in some of the sessions that we did earlier. So I believe like the space can give us an opportunity to explore a lot of things, even like performing a piece that we can create together, doing exhibitions, or doing sort of thematic food exhibitions from different participants, because we all come from the different regions. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so now you're kind of like upping the game by bringing in the, the idea of maybe actually, okay, there's stuff on the screen, but how about just actually having a food market? I mean, obviously, logistically, it will be a conversation. Where could that happen? Can that happen? Who's coming and that kind of stuff? But I do like it, and also taking it to that kind of next level, kind of processing it to and developing an art exhibition, a photography exhibition. You made me think of the postcard idea that we've done some time ago. I mean, because Skills Lab is about exchange. How do we want to kind of, I don't know, put things side by side, make it kind of cross-cultural, how to do that? Is it provocations? Is it just, we've got this on our side, you've got this on your side, here are just two separate exhibitions. How do they dialogue with each other? But luckily Timna's got the answer. So Timna, over to you. No, I'm joking, just whatever you wanted to say. But this is brilliant.
I think I forgot what I wanted to say. I'm sorry.
I will just say that, Laura, your visuals are being bigged up here on the chat as well. So just, Timnat, you remember that?
Yeah, I had an idea about concerning exchange. I wrote down, this might sound a bit provocative or demanding. You can ask the people who would come to the performance or whatever on the 10th. Give me a conversation. I'll give you ... So kind of yeah, starting from a conversation, and it could be because as we saw this list, which you used, I think it was you, Margot, who sent it out. There's so many artists in this group who express themselves in different ways. So it could be, yeah, a song, music, poem, or yeah, that's why the ... But I think I actually wanted to say something else. Yeah, coming back to the fire, that I also had this idea how we could create fire, and I was thinking about an installation. I mean, normally I have nothing to do with installations, but I thought about like red cloth, which kind of I don't know how much budget we would have, but like which moves because of wind, or like, yeah, it is, so we would have to have fans and yeah, with red cloth, which could represent the fire, but this would also work with light, as Mikey just mentioned. I think that's what I wanted to say, actually. Yeah.
Well, I am a fan of this idea. Okay, so you're kind of also saying, okay, hell, why do we have to prepare stuff in advance? Why don't we just kind of create provocations or pick out provocations and let artists kind of respond to that on the day, that kind of thing? So I give you a conversation, you give me a photo, you give me a poem, you give me a whatever it may be. Okay, that, I mean, I like that. Kate, over to you. Is it right? You want to say something now?
Yeah.
I kept on picking on you. Sorry.
I kept moving my arm because I was exploring this this fire thing. But yeah, I was just thinking about Toten's idea about the people taking photographs in the exhibition, and also what Margarita was saying about objects sparking conversation. Because with these, like, I was thinking if we do have these sort of breakout rooms or spaces for one-on-one conversations, if we have a similar thing like this fire, except maybe a still photograph that someone has taken, then that it could be like chosen in advance, and they just find themselves in this room with this image, and then that's what sparks the conversation. Because when we were chatting yesterday, we were talking a lot about, like, if we set up these spaces where people can have these conversations, how much like prompt or guidance or structure do we give them, and how open do we leave it? Because it felt like there were really like pros and cons, or like different yeah, just we talked about it a lot, and it didn't come to like any kind of conclusion. But yeah, no, I really like this idea of like objects and images sparking conversations.
I mean, I think you touched on something, Margarita. I'll come to you in just 1 second. Can see your hand, but you touched on something interesting, which is facilitation. I mean, a lot of what we do here, obviously, with the Talkaoke is about facilitation. It's about I don't know, assisting people. I don't know, it's a weird word, but just kind of getting people to express themselves, express a conversation, connect. And our role as facilitators is to link things up. And I think whatever we come up with on the day, I think it's a very valid point. How do we handle it? Are people feeling confident? I mean, it could be around Talkaoke tables some parts of the evening, because do not forget, it will be also 25th birthday of Talkaoke, so that will be inevitable at some point that evening. But for you, as skills lab people who have been kind of dipping your toes in that kind of Talkaoke facilitation style, is there something that you want to do as a facilitator, and how would you facilitate the small breakout rooms? How would you facilitate this is what's happening now for the next minute? How would you facilitate it? And perhaps that is also a way in which we can showcase what we've been doing here in the skills lab. Just throwing it out there, Margarita, do you still have something to come back with? It may be about something different because maybe we've moved on. Yeah, go on, Margarita.
Just about, I'm back to the objects which could appear. So that's like, could be just props, but like to make them work as a sort of a scenario, and taking into account that we are in between two countries, we could somehow probably pretend there is a delivery, and like each 20 minutes or when we want, a delivery is knocking the door, delivery man, and bringing something. Let's say you have a parcel from Uganda, or you have a parcel from London. And so if something appears, and that somehow could change or can facilitate the conversation, I guess.
Okay, so so some kind of cultural Deliveroo. I don't know if you've got it in Uganda. We've got this Deliveroo. Oh, Mikey's done a hand gesture for the sound effect, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great. We've got these Deliveroo kind of like quick delivery of food mostly, but other things as well, to a doorstep. Okay, so there's that. Also, I just want to kind of give you a fair warning here, Kate. In exactly 2 minutes, would you like to have a go in the middle?
Sure.
Fantastic. So you've got 2 minutes to kind of, just embrace that fact, and maybe perhaps is there anyone on the Ugandan side who'd like to co-facilitate with Kate, just so, because I feel like our internet is strong today. Henry or Isaac, do you want, or Totem, do you want to have a go, kind of co-facilitating with Kate from your side as a little preparation before the 10th? So it's a little bit less nerve-wracking. Totem is smiling, which obviously is good. Isaac, Henry, I know you're not moving, but I know you're not frozen. Henry's like, if I don't move, she won't pick on me. Oh God. Okay. Well, you can keep it to that. You've got 60 seconds to decide if you want to do it. Obviously, there is no pressure. But okay, so we've got all these different things. The question of facilitation, the question of objects and kind of interaction, the question of exchange, a question of maybe having fun, because I think a lot of things that we're talking about is quite fun and a bit like surprising. The deliveries, oh, we're talking about this now. Oh, I'm just going to respond to this prompt with this poetry or whatever, dance. I kind of want to also just float the idea of music, because I believe we were talking about music, and two of our people on our side are currently not here, obviously, as you can see. That's Gonzo and Teddy, but they are, particularly Gonzo, they're really into music, and I know, Isaac, you obviously wanted to contribute some music. So anyway, these are all the thoughts. So I've done like a little summary. Mikey, you've got your hand up, so I'm inclined to give you voice whilst Kate jumps in the middle or climbs into the middle. I don't know, whatever.
Okay, well, I hope I haven't got too much background noise here, but I think it's a really good point. But just to recap, Margarita's talking about objects because she's a visual artist, and Timna's talking about choreography because she's a choreographer and live artist. So, and Isaac's talking about singing because he's a musician. So I think it's just about bringing these skills forward and somehow combining them, and actually, not just showcasing them, but using them as a way to actually get other people talking, other people participating. And I think that is the kind of key thing that we could be doing here in the skills lab. I think it's one of the things we realized is we gave everybody a challenge last time, but we realized we don't have the ability to follow up all these challenges. So it's up to you people to develop those yourselves and just make sure that it fits into the flow of the rest of the event. So that's our job, is to make it fit into the flow, but it's your job to produce stuff, produce ideas, produce things. It could be 5 minutes, as we said, it could be throughout the whole event in the background around the fireside. But I feel it is taking shape. But we really need you to say, this is what I'm going to do, this is who I'm going to work with, this is how it's going to be. Okay, over and out.
Okay, thank you, Mikey. Mikey was talking about the flow of the whole event and about how these ideas fit into the flow. I wondered, time has been coming up a few times in different people's ideas, the idea of something arriving every 20 minutes, or little conversations happening in between little performances. Lots of things. I wondered if anyone has any ideas about the timing of the event, practically, like how long the whole thing will be, but also how much we structure it. Does anyone have any ideas about that? Mikey?
I feel like that's an old hand.
Structure is not, I actually think that, well, structure, I like structures that allow people to do like unexpected things. So, you know, Talkaoke is kind of based around this idea that you've got a structure, that you've got the round table and you've got a microphone, so whoever is on the microphone is talking. But it's very, very minimal. So it allows people to contribute their own thing into the structure. And I'm, you know, something like the fireside chat in a way is a bit like that as well, that it creates a space that people know what to do, but what they do in there is kind of up to them.
Cool. And how about on the Ugandan side? Like I mean, we've got a literal time difference between the two different places, obviously. But in terms of like the event as a whole, how long will it last? Anyone know practically how long we have the space for? Margot?
I mean, to be honest, because I mean, we can have as long and as short for this as we want, and it could happen in whatever way we want to. I mean, we're trying to kind of put an event together whereby there'll be time for DJs. We've got somebody doing live music. That's kind of more to do with the 25th anniversary party. We do have time at the, you know, between 5 and I don't know. I mean, I don't want to give it like concrete things because I don't want people to freak out that we've got like, oh my God, I've got to fill 3 hours. You don't have to. You can literally fill in 3 minutes if you want to, if this is what we come up with. There is literally no kind of pressure from our side because for us, it's about the essence of the program. But obviously, I reckon, I don't know, maybe about an hour is I don't know. But it's really, really flexible. And the rest could be the party on either side. It could be whatever we want it to be. But yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Margot. And Wabwire, did you have a hand there?
Yeah, so we still, basically we're working together with the technical team to find out how this is possible, considering that ever since the session started, we've been having the People Speak Studio do something like that. So we want to create a replica of what is happening there and create our own table this side, and also have within the space that kind of conversation. We have the space for 2 hours, so we'll need to determine what hours will be very much involved or what time will be very much involved with this session, because also the technical people have to go somewhere else, you know, so they won't be with us for a very long time. So they're strictly giving us a certain time, and that is what we need to work with. In terms of the conversations that have been going on in terms of food, yeah, we will be able to have some. So for us, we're calling it a brunch, so we can get people in because it'll actually be a Sunday. So get people in, and you know, and also because it's a Sunday, there's not a lot of noise in Kampala, so that's also good. There's not a lot of traffic, so people are able to actually reach the space on time. In terms of the pre-planning, I'm hoping, and I think Isaac reached out, that is connecting with Gonzo, and then they can come up with some pieces that they can actually put forward that we could play during that session. I like the idea of the breakout sessions. That's really great. I don't know though whether the participants will be able to come with their laptops or phones, but how we can make that, that's something we'll need to find out from our side, you know. Unless otherwise, I'm happy to share.
Great. So we've got a 2-hour window in the space in Uganda, and kind of more unspecified time in London, but a party either side of the central thing. So we'll coincide that 2 hours with obviously with the event in London.
Yeah, but the whole time for the session between us is going to be strictly dedicated time for us to actually engage physically, rather digitally. So the technical team will set up, but then I'm also meant to understand that they'll have to run to something else, but that won't stop our event going on, you know. So we'll still be in the same space together with the rest of the team, because also us, it's an opportunity to actually meet in a physical space. Most of us have been coming online, you know, so I haven't, apart from the last beginning address, not very many people attended the physical sort of like initiation. So this is going to be an opportunity for us to connect with each other, meet with each other in a physical space, and just have, like we say, like have a conversation together with you and see how we can take this forward.
Cool. So we've got this. We've got time. We've got a space in both places. We've got people in the space. Some people who might have met before. Some people who might not. And then you mentioned that maybe there's going to be a table there as well.
Yes.
So those are things that are going to be in both spaces. Well,
Yeah. So we are prototyping. We're prototyping our table. It may not be like the one that you have there that you're apparently in the middle, but just something that is great. You know, it brings out the feel of a round table and the Talkaoke table. You know, and that will also. So it's also going to be the launch of our Talkaoke table that we'll use for our Talkaoke sessions in Uganda moving forward. You know.
So, I can see that you're excited about this idea, but I wonder whether Totem, Henry, and Isaac are excited about it because they're like,
yeah, they can say something. They can also say something.
but I'm also kind of I don't want to take over, but I'm just kind of looking at the chat as well because we've got a comment from Isaac, and I know you've not spoken yet, Isaac. That's really what I wanted to check, whether you want to kind of let us know a little bit about what have you been working on with Totem and Dorothy. And I wanted to throw in another thing, which is, can we make these conversations and collaborations more between two countries? That's all.
Well, thank you, Margot. Isaac, would you like to talk a bit about what you've been doing with Totem and Dorothy?
Sorry, I came a little bit late, so I was like kind of like just picking up. But so we kind of like spoke about doing a song where Totem and Dorothy were going to send me like the melody, like kind of like maybe mimic the melodies, and then I would kind of like go to studio and draft the mentor, and then I would send it back to Dorothy and Totem, and they would like make a song, and then I would like produce it. But now the problem is we're kind of figuring out how they're going to do the voicing. Is kind of something that we're working on at the moment. We plan to do like a meeting twice, but we were all busy with like festival work, shows, and so we weren't able like to properly meet and draft what we want to present for Tokyo. But we're working on it. Yeah.
Amazing. So it's going to be a song with some voice, were you saying? Like voices?
Yeah. The idea is to create, I would call it maybe like a sound signature that maybe like Talkaoke on the Ugandan side can use, and then also possibly like a live performance. It will be something very small. It will be a live performance that we would like want to, yeah, do on the event.
And
Yeah.
what is a sound signature?
Okay, I'm not really sure of how to explain it, but with the producers, we normally use it is kind of like the mention of this Talkaoke, kind of like I don't know, maybe an anthem. Not quite sure how to explain it.
Like a whole song, or like a jingle, like a theme tune?
It can be like maybe creatively making what all the ideas have been into a song, or we can just do a simple mention of Talkaoke with like the mentor playing in the background. I don't know if it is I've explained it. I don't know.
Oh, and Totem had his hand up as well. Maybe he can tell us a bit more.
Yeah, thank you so much once again. So basically me and Isaac and then Dorothy, because like me and Dorothy, we were assigned like to put down some lyrics. So we kind of kept in touch, me and Dorothy, so that we wanted to come up with a theme so that we can create something. But the idea is like for us to maybe create sort of a melody depending on a theme. Then we send it back to Isaac then Isaac creates something, sort of a beat or an instrumental, then he sends to Gonzo, so that both Gonzo and Isaac, they can also, they all can do some sort of sound production as well. So if they can create for us sound, and then if there's time, if the feasibility is possible, like for us to, when the beat is made, we can voice it or we can like perform a live sort of performance. So the idea is just for us to create something that we can showcase, you know, during the day of the event. Basically, because we are looking at exploring the space, but doing a lot of things, having conversations, but also if you can showcase, maybe if you can also do photograph exhibitions, whatever idea we come up with, we just want to engage the people, but also engage the participants, you know, so we have to be looking at how best can we create the experience. So one of the ways maybe we can create the experience through like a showcase, if we come up with a thematic song, maybe for the skills lab, or just like a thematic song for anything, any kind of social issue that maybe, let's say, artists go through, or let's say within Uganda or in the UK or whatever. So basically, that is what we are trying to work on. But it has kind of been challenging a bit because like it's hard, like we are all kind of caught up a bit, but I'm sure we can create something. And then if it's possible, if Isaac has a full studio equipment, we can come up with the lyrics, and then maybe we can travel over to Kampala, then do the voicing. That is if we are going to perform a recorded song. But if we are going to do a live performance, then maybe we can just rehearse on the instrumental that is made, then we can perform. Yeah, so basically, yeah.
I see. Amazing. And over
Yeah.
to Margot.
I really love this idea, and also, I mean, I'm not a musician, but I get a sense that if you kind of establish some kind of like theme tune or something. I mean, I know that Elam is going to be making a video to promote the event, and we'll talk about promotion later on. But you know, it almost is like a hook. It's like helping to frame the evening, and maybe there are different parts of the piece. Maybe there's like a recurring chorus, which is like the main tune, and maybe the other parts of the soundscape, I'm gonna say, are some kind of responses to the provocations. I'm just kind of thinking about what you said earlier, Timna, creating something in response to the themes. And yeah, I mean, I really love it basically. So it's a yes from me. I don't know what other people think, but
yeah, anyone else like to respond to this idea of making a song? I guess it's like it's a song that gets passed between people. Is that right? So one person lays one layer and then it gets kind of layered up. That's what I was sort of imagining as a not musician. Anyone got any, Timna? What do you think? You were talking about sort of improvising and responding to that interview. Do you feel like music could also be a provocation?
Yes, definitely. I actually contacted Gonzo too. I'm so sorry. I actually didn't know that Isaac that you're doing music too. Yeah. So I tried to collab with Gonzo, and I think it's something. Yeah, we will see. But definitely. So yeah, music is can. What was your question? Sorry. Yeah, so I think you can use almost any input as an impulse to improvise on something. So it's just, I would say, more kind of would actually, I think, help me would be more like, okay, should we go more in of like kind of the performance, live performance thing if we want to do that, or should we rather go? I had this idea because in London at the moment, close to the river, to the Thames, they're poets, and they're saying like, come to me and I will give me whatever you want, pay as you wish, and I will write you a poem. And so, or would we rather go into like, yeah, yeah. So it's more like, my question would be, which kind of medium would we like to use as to improvise on yeah, or yeah.
Which kind of theme did you say?
No, which medium?
Oh, medium, like recorded or live,
Yeah,
or anything.
in, yeah, kind of. It's how do you want to express
Cool. So we've got lots of potential links, ways in which things that one person make can spark something that someone else makes. We've got poets that are exchanging poems for different things. Does anyone else have any ideas about different ways that? Oh, we've got Lucy with her hand up. I was just thinking about different ways that links can be made between the different mediums that we might be using. And Lucy.
Hello, hi. Yeah, I really like the idea of doing this collaborative format. I think I probably feel more comfortable in visual creative media rather than I'm happy to give music a go, but don't know if we're tight on time and working on our strengths. I'm always looking to develop new skills, but visual is where I feel comfortable, but happy to try music. But I think I would be keen to like have some element of, I guess I really like those conversations that we had at the beginning, or speaking with people, or some way to embed that into I think music, it might be like that's in itself a creative or like expression exchange. But I quite liked the kind of exploring people's brains and topics, as well as having that involved in some way. I'd be keen to have that yeah, some form of like journalistic kind of exploration of other people, just conversation stuff. I really like that. And yeah, I think it's a good question when you're saying, is there a way to like combine the creative medias? Like, do we have to keep the like theatre and music separate, or yeah?
Can I ask you a question, Lucy? Because okay, so I'm just coming into the event, and you're doing your journalistic thing. What am I experiencing as a person from the street? Do you think? Right now, it's a rough version.
So what I mean is, like, in the production of, like, sorry, I might have missed the memo, but I meant in the production of the pieces that we're making at the moment. So whether it's like we do similar setups of like conversations, like as we did for the first, second and third tasks. And then on that note, we like then do creative exchanges around that. So that's kind of already been done by the time the person walks in. So that gives the topics for us to be exploring and creating, rather than, I guess, the artistic exchanges, I guess, for me, I don't like, being an artist isn't my main vocation. I say I'm creative in lots of different ways, and I like facilitate and organize events, but I don't practice every day having and responding to something. So I guess, is that a possible crutch for me to have content to respond to? But it's also from a bit of a selfish perspective, in that I really enjoyed the asking people, that element of.
Oh yeah, totally selfish. No, it's great. From what it sounds like you're talking about is like thinking back to those first interviews you did, sort of treating them a little bit like Isaac and Totem and Dorothy's song. Like that would be the thing that you would do maybe a bit in advance and you would bring along. Is that right?
Kind of, but not. In that, like, am I not making? Maybe I'm not being very clear.
Totally. I think it's. I think the ideas are there, but what does it actually look like? You phone Henry on the phone, and then you do something. You talk to someone. Like, what actually happened?
Okay.
I think that's
So,
what we need to.
For instance, so say I spoke to Hassan's friend, and she works in dance, and I spoke to her about her experiences, and we for instance, we talked about like what life is like post-COVID being a dancer, and what's happening to the kind of dance, what's it called, area of work. And also she teaches disabled people dancing and what that looks like, and then whether that would be make that into like take the voice parts and overlay it and make a digital, like have a creative response to that, with that, whether it's like creating a short video with her voice and talking a bit like a documentary, but with a like whether I went out and got certain imagery or created imagery to overlay with that. So I guess it's a bit like Gonzo made the overlay. Was that Gonzo? With verbal with visual stuff to go with it. And I guess it's using those interviews, and then, or it could be like producing a piece that I was inspired by the things that she said, and then share it back with her. Or if Hassan had set up the conversation and knows her, like feeds into the creative response, so it kind of provides something to start that sharing process. So by the end, you could possibly end up with something that doesn't even have her voice in it, about her experiences of the change in like depleting workforce in dance. But it's just a creative response to that. Or it may be something that has her voice over the top as you watch something that relates to that. Does that make sense? I feel like I haven't been very clear.
Yeah, I think so. Like using these conversations like material, like just like the music or
yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, like kind of almost like finding a primary source.
Cool. And we have Margot in the chat said it sounds like a Skills Lab TV show with different participants or groups who take over, and they're all linked with the music. No, I think we had a hand up from Totem a while ago, and Timna as well, but let's go to Totem.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lucy. So basically, I saw in the chat there was a question about what is the possibility of linking visuals and then sound. I think it's kind of possible, man, because like with all the skill sets that we have, we can produce different kind of products at the end, you know? Like Lucy was saying, maybe we can do sort of a documentary or a short reel that has a background sound, or that has visuals of photos or objects or whatever. I think there's a possibility of us like doing a lot of stuff, but I believe you can connect visuals. Visuals can mean a video that is seen, or visuals can mean something that is still, or a still photo, let's say, or a still object, but also it can mean a moving object. Let's say we can do a podcast. You can record a podcast, but also you can put in the videos of the process when you're recording the podcast. So I believe like we can do a lot of stuff, like there's a possibility of us doing a lot of stuff. And then in relation to our performance, let's say if we can create a song, it's also kind of possible. We can be performing live, but we can have a projection of visuals in the background. So that depends on the equipment maybe that we shall use, but I think it's possible to do sort of a projection while the performance is going on as well. I think that is like from my side. Yeah.
Totally. I was just wondering, because there's just so many things and being like so many ideas. I wondered if it would be helpful for us to start having like a list of like things that people are going to make or want to make. Maybe like I don't know if they need to be split, but maybe like which might be live and which might be pre-made and pre-recorded.
So do you mean like some kind of like a script of what happens bit by bit kind of thing?
Yeah, or maybe even just for the moment, like it is just a list of everything that everyone is like planning or hoping to make, and what would be needed to make those happen, like technically and practically, just so that we've got it all in one place. I don't know, maybe that's just me wanting to like contain things or just like know where they are, but
I think that's a good idea. I think if anybody I mean obviously it's if anybody feels like they want to create this kind of plan, I think that would be useful, just because it will give us something tangible to kind of kick off the next session with. So I mean, would anybody want to do that? Sorry to jump in, but would anybody like to do the live technical, this is what we need, this is the people who are doing it at this time?
Bye bye, Margarita, just to say bye bye.
Oh, Margarita, you're going. Oh, bye. Oh, she's gone. Oh, she's gone. Okay, fine. So I think plan is a good idea, and over to you, Kate. I think some people wanted to speak.
And I'll go over to Timna. Oh.
Yeah, coming back to the question about how we could facilitate it and how we could make people get in contact. We had one idea about like people who could use their phones, and then like if we would have this possibility to get people together on a Zoom chat, then they could also use like their phones to So we would give them the possibility to be part on their phones too. But yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot what I wanted to say actually. So
would it be useful to kind of maybe recap some main points? Kate, I don't know how confident you are in maybe recapping to jog Timna's ideas.
Oh, so we've been talking about, we were talking about making a song, which Isaac, Totem and Dorothy are making a song, and then Lucy was talking about the thing that she'd like to bring or to prepare is more based around the interviews that we were doing, and maybe overlaying maybe some video and some music over that, so they start to become layered. And then I jumped in and started talking about some list. That jogged anything? Yeah.
Yay, woo! So that was a really hard task,
Yeah.
by the way. I'm gonna shout before she loses again.
But thank you, Kate. So yeah, one idea was like there could be like I will call it now how it should not be called, like this visceral circle where it's like kind of, but in a good way, like one thing leads to the next thing, and it's yeah, this could be how we could facilitate it also, that we don't have to know. Oh yeah, we might know if when we know what it might be pre-prepared and what might be like maybe improvised, but then one thing could lead to the next one with yeah, and this would work like then one thing could be the music could for that example be also be an impulse for the next step. So this was yeah my thought.
So we had, was it a visceral circle?
Yeah, what is it?
Sorry,
Tim,
maybe I
oh
just
God.
invented something new. In maybe and I thought that that's English. Sorry. So this visceral circle, doesn't it exist? An evil circle. This is where yeah, something bad and then something even bad, something more bad happens, and then even more. So it's, but I want to make it like in a good way. I will look this word up. I can tell it in German to you. So it's Teufelskreis. Yeah.
Oh, is it from Dante, from the comedy, whatever it's called, where you've got 9 circles of hell and the last one is like the ultimate?
I don't know, but
Not very
maybe.
good. Anyway, okay, I think I got the gist.
Oh, amazing. So we started with mango trees and we've now gone to the nine circles of hell.
It's an obvious
Everything in
segue,
between.
obviously.
And Lucy.
Hi. Yeah. So I've had another thought, and it was off the back of what Totem was saying, and then it kind of also really linked into what Timna was saying, which is like, I guess I'm just like voicing aloud what I would like to do or what I kind of am thinking. And then I guess if I heard music, I would find it easier to like, I could make like a small like stop motion animation on like even just responding to the sound. I guess it doesn't, I kind of like, why am I so attached to like needing a social, interesting kind of journalistic thing? I guess I really like the podcast thing, not podcast. I really like the interview thing, and I was very taken with that. So I guess I kind of latched onto that. But in terms of a music thing and like just topics that we've spoken about, it could just be a reflective, like creative response that either could be overlaid with like the recording of the music that was done, or I guess then, as you said, I think it was Totem, that like it could be played live and it could be projected. I guess it could look a bit different if you were trying to create a different for different things. Like if something was being projected, I like would imagine it's sometimes detail is lost. It depends what the projector would be like, rather than if you're planning to make a like visuals to respond to music, that would maybe like you'd cut it in time with the beat of the music, etc. But yeah, that's just another thought. I have to go now, unfortunately, but I feel like we're just getting into some nice meaty creative discussion. But
Thanks so much, Lucy. Any final thoughts before you go?
no, I think that was a good one, wasn't it? Great. I'm like looking forward to it. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thanks
Bye,
everyone.
Lucy.
Ciao. Ciao.
I just wanted to go back to something someone just said about people at the event connecting on their phones, and I don't know if Wabwira is still there, but when he was talking earlier, he was talking about that as well, about maybe it being difficult to expect that everyone might be able to connect on their phone. So I don't know if maybe that's something we should try to plan for a different alternative rather than every audience member will have their phone?
Yeah, so of course we'll ask the participants to come with whatever they can come with so that they're able to actually connect in case we have the breakout sessions. But ideally, everything will be projected from the round table. So if there are, let's say, 5 people on the round table and some of them can connect directly with their phones on the round table, then that will be okay. I mean, we'll have a bigger space, so for them, they can space themselves. Yeah, basically, it will be a space. It will be a bigger space, so it allows for a lot of iteration. So I don't think there will be any challenges.
So some people might have phones, some people not. I kind of feel like in London as well, that might be a helpful way to think about it, because people might have their phone, but you know, if they run out of battery, you don't want to stop them being able to participate.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any thoughts about that, or about how Margot asked a question about how the whole thing will be facilitated? So going back to that,
and I would just ask if can you access this Google Doc that I've just shared? You may not, because I always share it wrong, but just let me know if you can access this, because I wondered whether we could start jotting things down on it, so we know which bit, who is doing which bit, or who's putting which bit to the group, kind of thing. And how do you imagine the space to look like? What kind of technology you imagine you're required to use, or whatever, if it's pre-recorded or whatever. But yeah.
Amazing. I've managed to click that link.
6 minutes left.
Has everyone else been able to click that link? And maybe we can start using that. Anyone else? No, well, maybe it could be sent around by email so everyone can get it.
Oh yeah, sure, no problem.
And Timna, over to you.
Yeah, I just had this idea which popped up that with the Talkaoke format, we always have this kind of host, and I thought, oh, it would be cool, like, to have kind of a host who hosts the whole evening, or like when we are doing our things. And then I thought, like, okay, how should that work if we're many people taking part in this Talkaoke skills app? And yesterday, I think it was Lucy who mentioned that we lived so many great moments by chatting with other people from Uganda on the UK side. So just during this whole skills lab, and so my idea is that we all could be hosts, and we are sharing actually also the things we want to share about this skills lab, and maybe this could also lead to the or like in between the performances or whatever will happen, we could share our experiences up from, I think it was February, something like this. Yeah. And Mikey is screaming.
Final thoughts. Thanks so much, Tim. So maybe we're all hosts and we all link together everything. Final thoughts, Webwiri.
Yeah, so I think for us, this has been, since this is sort of like one of our last catch-ups in the heated up skills lab sessions, I think for me, this has been a very great opportunity to learn from the people speak and how they manage the Talkaoke and foster conversations in communities. And it's now a challenge and a task to us, the participants, to replicate the model if we can, because I think it's just easy to slide into Mikey or Margaret's email or WhatsApp and ask them how they can actually make the table, or because they have all those guidelines. And we can be champions for Talkaoke in our various communities, because all you need is just a table and the people, you know. You may not have the tools as sophisticated as they do have, but I think for us from the Ugandan side, I'll be sharing with Margot because I'm already talking to a carpenter to see how we can make that table like something like that. And I just hope that we can do more Talkaoke sessions on our side with the general public. So for me, I think the takeaway from this really is for all of us, it's a task for us to actually go and champion and foster and provoke these conversations that matter in our various communities. And I think that's for me the takeaway. Looking forward to see every one of you in the rehearsals. I'm not sure we'll be able to, I don't know how that works depending on how we engage with our technical team. Logistically, I'm not sure whether they will be able to actually come into the space and set up, because every time they set up, it's a logistical implication. So we had got them for the final day. I'm hoping they can set up in their studio during the rehearsal so that at least we can connect with the rehearsals in London and we have something. But I know the final day is going to be good. We're going to have our own branch that day. So for the Ugandan participants, write to your friends and ask them to at least make it up for the final day. And for everyone, thank you. That's what I had to say. Bye.
Thank you so much, Wiri. And I guess that also applies to the UK people to invite our friends, maybe?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, from the kind of, this is my final thought. Obviously, we've got the long tail starting in 1 minute, so you're welcome to stay for that. Two things. One is to Laura has prepared some invitation with like a flyer, which I will share at the end of this session, so you can start inviting your people to the event. Secondly, I will share on email the document so we can start jotting things down. And I would just encourage everyone to put in something of what they think. What do you think you're working on? And maybe just break it down in a way that's kind of making its way from your head to someone who is not in your head, basically. So it's a bit simpler to understand. And the third thing is that there is a proposition to maybe do like a top-up session next Saturday. It wouldn't be like the final rehearsal, it wouldn't be necessarily technical, but it may be useful just to kind of nail the script. So it will be about, okay, I do this at this time, you come in 2 hours earlier to set up the food market or whatever. So this is a proposition. Let me know if you would like that session, because we can make it. 18th, that's next Saturday, probably similar time.
Great. Thank you, Margot. And over to Mikey. Final thought.
Sorry, it's quite loud. It's quite loud in here now, so I'm on mute. But I just want to say how much I've enjoyed it, and well done to everybody for taking part. I've really enjoyed this. I'm 250 miles away from London at the moment in Blackburn, and it's great to sort of almost stand back and see it from a distance. It's really nice. So well done, everybody. I've really enjoyed this. I've got to go back to the Talkaoke session we're doing outside of Blackburn Cathedral, which is going on by itself as well. So I'm a very happy man today.
Very fancy cathedral Talkaoke. Thank you, Mikey.
Great contribution there, Mikey.
And anyone else final thoughts, Isaac or Totem?
Okay, thank you so much once again, like everyone. I think for me, it has been a great experience, you know, like it has made me realize how important conversations are, you know, even if you're sharing a space digitally or physically, there's a lot to the power of conversations. And I believe like my region needs such things, like needs spaces for conversations. If Wawire and KQ, they're working on the Talkaoke table in Kampala, I believe also possibly we can do something in Northern Uganda whereby we can really bring like freelance artists to share space, you know, to talk about their work, but also to get feedback. It's the most important thing, because if you don't have conversations, or if you're not part of conversation, you'll not realize or you'll not get feedback on your work. So for me, it has been very important, because I've realized how important conversations are and how spaces are. So it's an honor, like being part of the Skills Lab. It's great. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Totem. And
Yeah.
any final thought from Isaac? Or...
Yeah, so I know today I haven't like been very contributive, but I want to like thank everyone. I've really enjoyed Talkaoke and I'm still enjoying it. Um, and I want to call upon like most of the artists, mostly like music artists in the group to like still carry on with like collaborating, still carry on like talking to each other. Uh, and I've kind of like enjoyed how Talkaoke has like pushed me to go into the public, you know, interview people, uh, and also like uh, kind of like learning more about technology and stuff. And yeah, I'm looking forward for the final event. Yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Isaac. A final thought from me. I'm also really looking forward to the final event and whatever happens. Yeah. Is there anyone else? I think that might be everyone.
I mean, if this is everyone, I will definitely do the honors of thanking Kate for being in the middle. How was it? Are you okay?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, surprisingly.
Did you enjoy it?
I did. Yeah,
Would you recommend it to other people?
I would.
On
I think
TripAdvisor and
you should all have a go in the middle.
I'm super excited. I mean, I think you've done really well. So I'm just gonna go for like one more hand thing. But also everyone on the Ugandan side, thank you, Henry. You will have your prototype Talkaoke table on your side. So Wabwire can let us know when he can make that kind of that mock-up version, because I would just like to say that our upcoming sessions, like I said, the 18th next Saturday is an optional one. I think maybe I will email about that, maybe we can meet. But apart from that, on the 26th of June, this is the final rehearsal in the space. So you will be in your space on your side, and London people, you will be at Rich Mix on that day. Not today, obviously, but on the 26th, which is a Sunday. And then there's one more session which we have scheduled. Obviously, we can add other sessions, which is on a Thursday, 30th of June. Now, that's a weird one because it's an early afternoon one for here in London at 3 p.m. And then we go on to our usual monthly Talkaoke at Aberfeldy Street. So if you are thinking about facilitating, if you want to have a go in the middle or co-facilitate from Uganda with a person here on the London side, talking to people who are not part of this lab, this would be an opportunity to do it. But I will email about that because it's too much info. That's it. I finished talking. I mean, there's a long tail, but we don't have to do the long tail if we said everything. Okay. Thank you, Laura, on the cameras and visuals and marginally on sound effects at the beginning. And thank you to everyone else. Thank you, Timna, for coming to the studio, and everyone else who's here and who is not here. Okay. Bye, people. Have a lovely Sunday. Whatever the day is. Take care.
See you.
Bye. Outro music.